Ambassador Ron Malka, it's a pleasure to be speaking to you. You are the Israeli ambassador to India, and I'm very grateful that you have been able to spare some of your time to chat with India Global Business. It's a very interesting phase right now in the world. It's also a very interesting phase in the building of furthering relationship between India and Israel. India and Israel have had a very long, strong relationship, and it is getting even stronger by the year, by the months, and by the days. I wanted to ask you, Ambassador, what are the crucial components that bind India and Israel into such close, strategic, multifaceted bilateral ties through the decades?
Israel and India share so many similarities. It's our history, our culture, our heritage. And not only that, of course, the values and the rituals and the ethics, but even the emotional structure, the values of family, of friendship are so similar between Israel and India. So there is much chemistry. You can see what happens between our two prime ministers and what happens between people-to-people connections between Israelis and Indians. I think this is the main pillar, the main foundation of the successful of these relations. Given the fact that Israel and India, not only that they don't compete each other, but they complete each other. Because, Israel, a small country, fully employed, with advanced technology and innovation, comes with a strategic partner like India that has its comparative advantage in manufacturing and mass production and up-leveraging and upscaling. And this matches very well, very well. And with the understanding that is there, as with mutual respect and mutual trust that was built upon those years of collaboration, we have all the ingredients that are needed for a very successful collaboration. For example, we just, if they are under this pandemic, we reach new records of collaboration when a joint research on rapid test for COVID-19 was conducted with scientists from Israel and scientists from India. They joined together to a joint research, and hopefully within the coming days, we'll hear what is the outcome of this a very successful operation. It was a very successful joint research. Hopefully also the results will come and will give us what we are looking for. But think that in 9 days, scientists from Israel that came to India with their counterpart here in India managed to take 25,000 samples. Such a big and successful collaboration and operation between Israel and India. This is really a good example. It shows the chemistry, the understanding, the mutual respect and mutual trust. Only with this you can build such kind of relations that can thrive and grow as the relations between Israel and India are steadily growing.
You made a fantastic point there when you said that India and Israel don't compete each other, they complete each other. It's the first time I've heard something that it's so poignant. However, I mean, there is a school of thought today in a multipolar world that professes the theory that relations between nations are purely transactional. But judging from your answer, do you think that this concept applies to India-Israel relations, or there is more to it than just transactions? There is a bond.
Well, there's much more than that. And really don't measure the relations between Israel and India on transactions, on a trade capacity or volume. This is not the issue. This is totally not the issue. The collaboration between our scientists, some of the leading scientists in the world, think that out of 5 nations that reached the moon, 2 are Israel and India. We have the best scientists. Israel and India have the best scientists and technology in the world. Together, we develop and create so many things that make us much more self-reliant. And really what I meant by saying that we complete each other, that for Israelis to match up with the visions of India, of Prime Minister Modi, for example, of making India, for India and for the world, and Atmanir Bhar Bharat, self-reliant India. The things that our scientists do together make us so much more self-reliant. We don't need to rely. Now the capabilities that we can build together are those that now exist only in the superpowers, but India and Israel can reach that point. So it's much, much more than transactions and volume trade and so on. Many, many areas of collaboration. What we did in agriculture, in water security, healthcare that we are now collaborating, and I just mentioned one of the, but many, many other collaborations and fruitful joint ventures and researches in all those areas. Of course, in security, HLS, and all kinds of technologies, we work together. So many things that we do together in favor of our nations. Education, we did so much. Collaboration on innovation, we just signed an MOU on innovation between Israel and India. We share not only the practices and the knowledge and the experience, but also the spirit of innovation, of entrepreneurship. So it's much, much more than transactions, much more than.
Ambassador, you know, as you said, there's so much interaction. So there's people-to-people interaction. There is science. There is next generation tech, defense and security, startups. Israel is the world's biggest startup nation. Smart agriculture, water, wastewater management techniques, education. Having listed all that, my question to you is, what other areas need to be evaluated now in this relationship, which is growing from strength to strength? What, according to you, are the areas that the two nations now need to go down on a path to?
So it's basically science and technology in all areas, because what we understand now is that these kinds of technology, the advanced technology, can be used in many, many areas. We call it the dual usage or multi-usage of technologies. Now we take technologies that were invented and initiated in the defense sector, use them for agriculture, what we call, for example, precision agriculture. The usage of drones and satellites to monitor the field and to calculate a specific amount of fertilizer and nutrition that in water, of course, that we need to give to each part of the field in accuracy of pixels. In healthcare, many medical equipment and devices have technologies that were invented in the defense sector and in agriculture sector. So those technologies, advanced technologies that we share and work together, develop and design together, are used in many areas and many sectors. For example, we just lately declared the strategic partnership in water management. You know, Israel is leading in the world in water management practices on both sides of the equations, the resources and the users. So we are sharing these technologies with India now. We have just signed an MOU on flagship project on water management with UP, a very big holistic approach, the old model, the Israeli model of water management we are going to bring to India. This is something that you don't measure in transactions, of course. This is technology, knowledge, best practices that we share and later can be adjusted and implemented here in India. You cannot measure it in transaction, but it's huge and it's very important. And of course, the impact is huge because once this project will be successful, we can replicate it to other places in India. And the companies that do it are Indian companies, of course, because Israel, as I said, a small country, we cannot upgrade and up leverage. And of course, we don't produce any platforms or big. We come only with the knowledge, the technology, the systems. That's what we do. This is our comparative advantage. We are aware of that. We know what our disadvantages are and advantages are. So that's why we complete each other in a very modest way, very respectful way, and trustable, which is make it much more, I'd say, fruitful.
Ambassador, coming a little away from India, and the world has now become such an interesting place. There is so much happening, multipolar world. Old relationships are being strengthened and new relationships are being formed. I would like to, if you permit, divert your attention to the new relationships that are being formed between Israel and countries in the Arab world. And they're entering into a new era of understanding for mutual benefit. In this environment, with India also so heavily invested in the Gulf and Middle East, what is your opinion? Do you see India playing an important role across sector, being a strong ally of Israel and certain Gulf countries and Middle Eastern states?
Israel and UAE, if you mentioned the Gulf states, and are leading in the Middle East in technology and innovation. And we know it's a common knowledge that those economies that focused on innovation and technology are those that perform much better than others. Given the fact that both Israel and UAE are key strategic partner of India, one is not even need to be an expert to understand what is the huge potential that is there for collaboration between these three angles. Each and every one of us brings to the table its comparative advantage, and together we bring so much added value to each other. So think that Israel, UAE, advanced technologies come to India, very advanced in technology, work together, and each and everyone brings its added value. This is what we call synergy, and of course the potential is huge. Of course, in technology, innovation, of course, I would say trade, and every aspect that you can think of, which can be in water management, food security, healthcare, any other aspects of life that we can just contribute and support each other.
Ambassador, you have a very strong background in finance. You have served in a lot of positions in a financial and banking fields. You have given lectures across the board. On the economic front, what developments would you look for between the two countries, given that Israel has so much expertise to offer in this rapidly changing tech-oriented world across multiple platforms?
Well, what we want to see is that each and every one of these partners, strategic partners, understand very well the challenges of the other partners, and according to their priorities and from what is the, I'd say, a relative advantage and the contribution that we can bring, to see how we can support each other. And that's what we basically do, try to understand each other's challenges and what we can bring to the table for that. And since each and every one is in it with a different approach, a different perspective, and different focus, when we work together, we can bring so much value to each other. And of course, we share practices, how we did things. It's not a secret now that I know that Israel is a very successful economy. See where we started from and where we are now, with more than $40,000 per capita per year. Of course, it's a very, so we share the practices. How did we do that? How did we get there? Think India and Israel, democracies, share so many things that are similar. Even the challenges that I meet in India look so familiar for me. So we share what we did, what worked for us. We share also the mistakes that we did. So India and of course other partners should not commit those mistakes, because we have already done that. So this is again something that we can contribute to each other. And if we do things, and if there are some that are proven concept, we can understand how much we can support economically each other. Of course, there's so much to do, and while just sharing practices, experience, and bringing the relative advantage to each other can support so much the prosperity and growth of each and every country.
Ambassador, India has been challenged by the pandemic, very huge population, diversity. Governance is a very, very strong challenge, but the government is doing everything that it can while turning the economy around. Sitting where you are, what is your view currently of the Indian economy, sir?
Well, like other economies in the world, it's been a challenging time. We needed to take some steps in order to support and to balance between life and livelihood. So from one hand, trying to flatten the curve, the infection curve, and from the other hand, try to let the economy go as much as we can without affecting, to balance the things. It's been a big challenge for many, I think all over the world, countries in the world. So again, it's of course it has some impact on the economy level, and we just now to see how we can work together and to fix those things and to come again to the curve of growth. It is a challenge. I think that all the countries in the world are now facing this challenge, and by sharing and consulting practices, steps that we take that work for us, we can overcome. It will take time, but maybe this is, and that's how we look at things. Every crisis brings its opportunities. maybe this is the time and the opportunity to take some, let's say, major steps, reforms that are needed and have been needed even before, and just now to accelerate them. Maybe this is an opportunity for that. Maybe this is the way that we should look at things. So maybe after recovering, we'll find ourselves in a much better place than we were there before the pandemic. And we just see that many processes that started before the pandemic were accelerated. Digitalization, automation, many other aspects. And maybe after some time of recovery, we'll find the world in a better place, more healthier, more efficient, because, you know, things will flow to where they are really needed now. And this is kind of, you know, efficiency that we might see. So every crisis is not easy, but brings its opportunities. And if we'll understand, to realize, to define them, and to really seize the opportunity, maybe we can become even stronger. So this is the way that we can see that. We should see that, and by collaborating, sharing, working together, thinking together, we can do much, much better.
Ambassador, coming back to the Gulf, with the new relationships being formed, things are moving at such a rapid, aggressive, ambitious speed. It is amazing to see. What do you put this down to? What is the one emotion or thought process that you put it down to, that countries are now rapidly embracing each other and collaborating on multiple sectors and fields?
Well, I share the same feeling. And yes, it's the feeling as if some barrier was broken, and then now it's a free flow of emotions that are a very free flow of emotions that is now growing and expanding. And because potential was there before. And I think that not only that things have changed, as you said, but there is some kind of a message that we get, the Middle East, the world, that understand that it's going to be a different era. We are not going to say anymore, people are not going to believe anymore to this propaganda and fake news of maybe there is some conflict between Israelis and Arab countries, or between Israelis or Jews and Muslims. No, no, no. Now the world understand what is the reality, what is the truth. There is a local conflict between Israelis, territorial conflict between Israel and Palestinians, and not more than that. Israel can be a friend of many Arab countries, and the Middle East can shape differently. And it's really what we do now shapes the future of the Middle East and of the world. And this is why things are so exciting and so moving. And this is why we see such a big hype of flow of. I've just heard that hundreds of Israelis are now walking in the streets of Dubai. And yes, it really reflects and symbolizes the fact that the potential was always there, hold, but now the barriers were broken. It's a new era, like, you know, taking a wall, things of Germany out, and then everything flows and grows, and it's so promising, and we see so much hope in that. So yes, it's a flow of strong emotions that were there, but, you know, hindered from some reasons, and now can just flow out away. And yes, we see that we are part of this hype. Enthusiasm is all over, and we think that is only the beginning. And you see how rapid it is. So it started with UAE and Oman and Bahrain, and now we're talking with Sudan, and now we understand that there was some negotiations at the highest level between Saudi Arabia and Israel. So we understand that things are going on. Wow! So it's just the beginning of a new time, a different time, much more promising, with much more hope to everyone in this region.
You're right, Ambassador. It's almost like there's electricity in the air, like someone switched on the light in a very dark room and everybody just woke up. My final question to you, sir, is, do you think that Israel and India would need an FTA in the future to further cement this already growing, profitable, mutually satisfactory relationship between the two countries?
You see, it's been a long time that we are talking on FTA. As I said, I think this is something that will happen eventually. It takes time because to understand what are the advantages, and if there are any other reflections, if it affects other negotiations with other countries, this is something that should be taken in consideration. But I think that, as I said, once we realize, and everyone realizes, that Israel and India are completing each other, and Israel cannot be any threat on Indian markets We are not going to float the India markets with, cheap products or so. This is not Israel. I think things will move on and it will be there. But as I said, this is what not the area how we measure the relations between Israel and India. It's important to have that, and it will eventually happen, but we are not waiting for that. We are doing so many things together and bring so much added value to each other without having the FTA now. So it's okay. It will happen. It will be there, but this is not the main issue. I know, I understand it with talking and with this approach that maybe it's all transactional. So you think that maybe FTA reflects something that is very important. No, not in the case of Israel and India. Not in that case. So it will happen. It will be there, but we are not waiting for that.
Ambassador Ron Malka, thank you so much for giving me your time. Your insights were very interesting. I learned a lot also during this conversation. And I must thank you for giving me your very valued time and your time to India Global Business as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. Pleasure.